Hi everybody, it's Mission Man, and welcome to the behind the video on the official music video for Time to Make It Happen. I'm just going to talk about the elements in this video. It's a very quick retrospective of my career from 1996 to 2011. So in a 3-minute period, you have a whole lot of imagery covering a very long period of time, and so I'm going to talk about a lot of those elements. If you're interested in knowing how I did other videos, I have a whole behind the video series that I will have a link to at the end of the video to watch more of. But I'm going to start here at the beginning of this video. You'll see this cassette here. That is the cassette that I recorded at Apple Barn Recording Studios, because I recorded the entire album in 3.5 hours, and that didn't include post-production work. So that day I don't know, you wouldn't use the word burn anymore, or you wouldn't have used the word burn at that point. You would have burned a CD but not a cassette. And he gave me a copy of the cassette recording to listen to. So I would take it around town, listen to it with my portable cassette player, and I would have my headphones on, listening to it for things that I wanted to do with it. And I would write in a notebook, make this change here, add double my vocals here, add echo, add delay, those kind of things. And when people saw me out with the headphones on, they asked me what I was doing, and I told them, I was listening to my debut album, and they wouldn't want to hear it. So people who had never heard me rap before, heard any of my music before, heard this recording, they're like, wow, that was really good. And so, that was a nice reassurance to have as I was working on this as well. So once I took that, once I had those notes ready, I physically mailed them to my producer in Liberty, Kentucky, because that's where Apple Barn Recording Studios was located. And then he did the post work on it. And this is the cover for Instrument of My Mind here. You can see it's from my eyes up. And I had the concept for the cover to be Instrument of My Mind because it's, it's Instrument of My Mind. So I had a thought bubble above it. And then the track listing, I didn't actually physically design the cover. I told Crystal Inc., who was the people who manufactured the CD, what to do, and they did it. I gave them considerable freedom with it, but just the general idea of it. And then the back cover, you have a little bit of dark on dark. They also designed the back, but you'll see here there's the Wakefire Records logo, and the name Wakefire came about because basically my brother said that he would pay for the pressing of my first CD if I would use the name Wakefire, and so it's kind of stuck since then. And so you have the logo there on the back, and of course the dedication to my mom, because that was just I recorded it less than 2 years after she passed, and so she still is a huge influence on my life. She taught me how to work hard but still give love to people, among many other things. And so I really wanted that dedication to be on there. And then moving on here, this was my the check for the first CD that I ever sold online. Missionman.net looked very different in 1997. It was mostly text with some terrible graphics, but I did have an order form on there. I said, if you wanted a copy of the CD, mail me a check. And the person who bought it was nice enough to date it 1/25/97, 2 a.m. to show a record of when I actually sold my first album online. This was my first ever press coverage. This was in the Oxford Press in Oxford, Ohio. I was an 18-year-old sophomore at Miami University, and I was a computer science major at the time. So you have a picture of me here at the computer lab, but you also have the CD here that I had finished, and a notebook for me writing down lyrics. And Underground Music Monthly was an electronic magazine that I started in roughly 1997, 1998, right around the same time I released that CD. I would review other people's music, and I had a couple friends also review people's music. And I had online articles about how to release your CD on your own. And so it was a 2-year project, really. And these covers were done by a friend of mine. I basically paid her $50 a week so that she could quit her job at McDonald's and just focus on doing this all the time. And it allowed her to pay her car insurance. That's all she was looking for. I was like 18 when I did this, and she was about 15 or 16. This is Delve Deeper, my second album, which you cannot get because it was mainly a production experiment. I recorded it on a Sound Blaster Live card. It was a double disc, but you see a super limited edition there, 20 of 23. I actually physically printed up all of the artwork myself and stapled it together and put it into put the insert booklet into the blank jewel cases myself. And so it was an extremely limited run. Transition, same thing. These are albums you can't get because there was such a production experiment behind them. Handwritten, because it was so personally done. And then this is my first ever live performance. This was at CD World in Coleraine in 1998. August of 1998. I was 19 at the time, and I was super nervous. There's a line in open mic where I say, the first verse at a person, maybe so nervous that I couldn't breathe with my dry mouth as my eyes shot out and gave me a headache. That was about that performance. I was wearing my contacts, made my eyes extremely dry and just super nervous. And but it was something that was fun. I'm glad that I got to do it at a CD store as opposed to a traditional venue, because I didn't have the pressure of bringing a whole lot of people out. I was just there to entertain people as they were walking around buying CDs. And my friend Carrie was doing the camera work with my camcorder. That was this big, heavy camcorder that we got in the 80s, like the late 80s, that was super heavy on your arm. So the fact that she could hold it for the entire 25-minute performance, I still appreciate her doing that to this day. This is the cover of Out of the Shadows. This is Antistripe, aka Shadowblade. At one point, I had written 50 handwritten pages of a book called Shadowblade that I was going to release. But I gave a friend of mine those 50 pages to read and get back to me on, and I never saw them again, and so I didn't end up writing anymore. But I wanted to keep the character alive through the album cover. This is a show in Jacksonville, part of my 2003 tour, where I booked 9 shows after sending out 200 demos. And this is one of those moments where I just got lucky. I didn't have enough gas money to get back to Ohio from Florida, but the crowd was big enough to see the headlining band that I ended up making enough money to get home. And I have this picture that, I had it developed old school, I think, with a disposable camera, and I took a picture of a picture, so it's not as sharp as the original. But that crowd was amazing and allowed me to get home. And that was one of those really kind of crazy moments on tour as well, because that show ended at 11 p.m. A friend of mine that was with me had a gig in Cincinnati the next day at noon. And so we drove straight through at 11 p.m. from Jacksonville, Florida to Cincinnati. It's like a 12-hour drive, and got him there for his noon performance. I think he was about 15 or 20 minutes late. And then went from there. And the day after that, I had a show in Pittsburgh. So it was a lot of driving, but a lot of fun. And this was the first music video I ever made. Was You Gotta Want It. I did it in Flash. I may talk about that more when I do the behind the video on that, or I may not, because there's not much to say other than I did it in Flash in 2002. And Flash was just a web-based kind of semi-animation, semi-actual, before HTML5 was the thing. You had a lot of graphics done that way. This is the album Different Kid. You also can't get this. It's still basically a production experiment where I was teaching myself how to play instruments and produce. Playing for a Cure, 2004, that was the first one that I did. That was September 27, 2004. That was the 10-year anniversary when my mom passed away, and I wanted to do something to honor honor my mom's memory. And so I put together a concert with 7 bands, spent $1,000 promoting it, contacted radio stations, newspapers, got a fair amount of press coverage about the event. But it was a Monday night, the Monday after Midpoint Music Festival. So I think there were about 35 people there, and we raised about $100. But I gave all that money to the American Cancer Society anyway, and it's one of those moments that I'm very proud of. And there's me as a kid with my mom behind me. That's me playing a bass solo at Stadium, me playing at Sludge Malone's in Cincinnati there with a guitar. Nice crowd shot from, that's Elbow show, I believe, and then I think that was the Stadium in Oxford. This was the dress rehearsal for Playing for a Cure, where you can see that I had a bunch of costume changes and everything, and more playing for a cure shots, playing for a cure in Oxford, playing for a cure at the Night Owl in Dayton. And then this is back to the thumbnail for the video. This is the back cover of Independent, and a fan of mine made this using Mario Paint. So at that time when I was performing, most of my performances, it's just me and my keyboard, and I would occasionally have a bass with me to do some bass solos, and I had instrumental CD as well. I think because the bass solos at that point needed that instrumental CD, but it was a lot of keyboard performances at that time. Oh, and on the back cover here, you can see Intro to My Mind and a different kid on the wall there, as well as my logo. This is the front cover for 31 Hours to What, which I released in 2010. A Little About Me is from that album. So that's just a clip from the video. That was one of my CD release shows at Skipper's Top Deck in Oxford, Ohio. And then this is the front cover of Liberty Island, which is getting me up to the current year and the current release from when I put this video together. And this was from Wonder. I have an entire behind the video on Wonder. It took me 4 months of animating about 30 hours a week to do that video. And then this was a clip from I Had To, which is also from that album. This is from Living to the Rhythm. And then Living the Dream, which is basically a sequel to Playing a Little Basketball, a little shot from New York when I was driving through, and the back album of Liberty Island, back album cover of Liberty Island, followed by my final dancing and performing here from Relay for Life in Oxford, Ohio, as kind of a final tie together of the whole American Cancer Society theme of donating money to them. And I'm actually wearing the Playing for a Cure shirt. You can see the band lineup kind of on the back there. So that is the behind the video on Time to Make It Happen. If you would like to see other videos talking about what's behind the videos for my official music videos, there's a playlist here. And if you liked the video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I thank you all very much for watching, and have an incredible day.